H3.
Entertainment.
Welcome to Business Over Beer, where entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people passionate about what they do bring us their stories and their favorite beer. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Knope, it's time to get down to business and drink some beer.
It's been an impactful year, and our team, I'm so proud of how our team has responded to the environment and the world this year.
Well, bravo to you on all those fronts. That's fantastic.
Thank you. It's totally our team and their voice in the world and seeking out just where to help. So
it's huge.
Hey, Ben. My glass is empty.
Mine's empty too. So, Bill, every episode of the Business Over Beer podcast, my lovely wife, Angela, picks us out a mystery beer. We call this segment Angies Mystery Beer. Now, I don't know what she's going to do today, since we have an NA beer as our feature. But usually the beers that she picks out are, how do you call it, Jonathan?
They're typically high octane. They are typically not non-alcoholic. And by no means would I ever again call her soft.
Yeah.
We paid the price for my loose-lipped calling her soft a couple times.
She brought Schlitz. She had Schlitz as one of her mystery beers.
that's great. How can you even find that these days?
It wasn't great, Bill. No, it really wasn't.
Nostalgic, perhaps.
Nostalgic maybe is better, yeah.
So the game works like this. We pop the bottle or can open. We pour a little bit, and we try to guess what kind of beer it is. You know, it's a game. It's just fun, Bill. That's all it is. So
I know what it is.
I know what it is.
I know what she did.
I know it.
I know what she did.
What do you think it is, Bill? I bet you could guess.
No.
It is.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to guess on the bottle shape. It looks like a porter, but coming out of a 40.
Look at that.
Yeah, I can pour them.
It's something you may have ordered at a restaurant before Athletic Brewing was in business. All right, Prost.
Prost.
Prost. Oh, that's good. That's good.
I can't wait to open my other can of Run Wild that I got sitting here. All right, the big reveal. What is it, Ben?
Oh, it's root beer.
Reinhardt.
Oh, it's Henry Weinhardt's, though.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good root beer.
Yeah, it looks like a good artisanal root beer.
Yeah,
it is.
Draft style.
Yeah, it's really good.
Gourmet soda. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I have so many questions for you, Bill, but we're running out of time. So the one thing I want to know is, what was rejection like for you? We're all small business owners. A lot of our listeners are small business owners, entrepreneurs, and we understand that rejection is part of it. There are people who just don't have the same vision you do and aren't going the same way you do, don't have the same path that you're traveling on. How did you cope with 200 plus rejections in a row, but still have the positive light to keep moving forward?
Yeah, it's definitely a good question. I don't know. I think I had like burnt my boat when I quit my job, and I had to go for it at least a bit longer before I went back with my tail between my legs. But yeah, it was about 6 months before anyone outside of my family told me it was a good idea. So it was pretty dark there. I went to craft brewers conference that year and talked to probably 500 people and didn't have really any meaningful conversations that year. Um, I would, I will say, like, so that year I quit my job and I was working my home office every night and or every day, and I'd like start the day and to like have three rejections in the morning and then like nothing really to look forward to in the afternoon, and like just be in my office was definitely dark. I think just like extracting myself from the situation and like asking my wife if she wanted to go for a walk with the dogs. At one point it got pretty dark and it was like a Thursday, and I asked my brother if he wanted to go for a ski trip, and we actually came up to the Pacific Northwest, skied at Mount Baker. We like flew in overnight, skied at Mount Baker, hit a bunch of breweries, and like thought so highly of so many of the breweries we went to. And yeah, definitely shout out Aslan. They're super nice, and recommended the tank producer we ended up buying in the background there, Mark's. But it was
That's
cool. We
Mark's in
did like,
Vancouver, guys.
Yeah, it
Right.
is.
yeah, local stainless for sure.
Yeah.
Great guys. They've been super helpful. Awesome to keep in touch with. We just ordered another big tank from them also. But we, yeah, it was like eventually I just had to like get up and shake it out and go see 20 breweries and get re-inspired, and then kind of came back re-energized. And at that point I was still thinking we were contract brewing, and on that trip I was like, just go build a brewery. Like if no one's gonna believe in this, like gonna raise some more money and just like dive in further. And that ended up being the right call because it really let us take control of our process and iterate so much more on our own. And there's so many lessons we learned in our own building that we needed to know before we went to a different scale. And so I think change your surroundings, but like also rely on your support system. Don't keep it in. And I think one of my biggest mistakes too was like not sharing enough early. And I wish I had found more community to reflect ideas on too. So
You mean like going to asking questions of other people, or?
yeah, just like sharing in like guilds or forums or going to like meetings of like young leaders and stuff. And there's so many people go, it doesn't like, it almost doesn't matter what industry you're in so many times, because like everyone, like it rhymes across so many different industries. And you find out nothing's ever easy in any industry, no matter what you're doing. And so like the more I branched out and the more I sought community is definitely helpful too.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, what were when you were pitching this idea as a contract brewer, what were the brewers missing that you saw? Like, how did you develop? And maybe this came out of after the decision you when you decided to create a brewery, but you know, how did you actually do the market research? How did you determine? I mean, because you talk about that there was a clear gap in the market. How did you define that gap, and how did you recognize how to fill that gap that maybe other folks weren't seeing?
Yeah. And the contract brewers were 100% right to reject me, because when you get to scale, you need to have like a perfectly dialed in recipe and be a professional already. And we were not professionals. So we needed to start on a smaller scale, which was definitely the right move. It just hurt to arrive at that decision a little bit. I think in terms of market research, so I knew the US non-alcoholic beer market was like 0.3% of the beer market, but everyone I asked anecdotally told me like, yeah, I'd have a couple a week, like maybe a 6-pack a week, something like that. And then I started doing Google surveys and asked about like, why don't do you drink non-alcoholic beer? If you don't, why don't you? And then would you drink it if these like conditions were met? And like 55% of people said they would drink non-alcoholic beer pretty regularly if it didn't have the stigma and the quality. And I think those two things were so, yeah, it kind of led me to you have to create a great product and great marketing, which, duh, for any product. But it also gave me hope that like this product with this category with like a terrible reputation, people, it aligns so well with modern health trends that people are open to it, you know? So,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, I think that was like a big part of the confidence was just like it. It was also super interesting that everyone in the beer world had no interest in doing it and had not even tried. And everyone on the outside world, a majority were saying they were interested in it. So it was like, whoa, there's a huge gap here. And yeah, we thought we had built this Connecticut brewery for 5-year capacity. And as soon as we launched, we grew out of it in 10 months. So that split mindset between the outside and inside brewing community was definitely true.
And so, you outgrow your Connecticut capacity, and you then, I guess, have a decision to make. You know, how do we continue to scale this business? And you guys land on a new facility in the West Coast or on the West Coast. Maybe
Yep.
talk about that decision. How did you arrive at the West Coast and the location that you guys ended up at, and kind of, you know, why position yourself in the West Coast now? Why not focus, or maybe why not scale in your current location where you were at?
Yeah, and we definitely like kicked that around a lot, and we thought about doing contract brewing at scale too. But ultimately, we decided we really loved having our own building and controlling the whole process and the IP, and we loved building the team and wanted to grow our team and give more people good jobs. Um, and so we started to look around the country at 5 or 6 different used breweries out there that we could get at a decent discount, and found this old Ballast Point facility. It was actually pretty brand new, and has capacity for years to grow into. Um, and so, but it was really a decision that we arrived at because 2019 was so painful on the capacity front, where we had planned to open about 12 states that year, but only opened 6 because we didn't have enough capacity. But we would deliver beer to chain accounts, and for example, like Wegmans in Massachusetts, there were customers who knew what day the beer would arrive there and would just buy all 12 cases. Like there would be people waiting when the truck got there and it wouldn't even get to the shelf. And so, yes, they would be selling 12 cases of non-alcoholic beer every 2 weeks, but it would never make it to the shelf. And so they had an empty shelf, and just like capacity was a huge problem in allocating beer. And so we knew we needed a bigger home, and went on search for that.
Awesome.
So you're primarily in retail, I assume. What's your plan for trying to get taps? Is you know, obviously when we go out or we go to tap houses or go to restaurants, there are no taps dedicated to non-alcoholic beer. Is that part of the business model? Are you having any success in that segment of the market?
So it's kind of a two-pronged answer. So part of our capacity problem was that we actually do sell beer nationwide online. And I had always assumed that would be about 10% of our business. And it's always been above 50%. And so, yeah, last year, our e-commerce site, we just couldn't keep in stock. It was about 30 days behind on shipping. And that was a big pain point as well. But yeah, the on-premise is a great channel. It's where like so many customers are introduced to beer and they can sample at a good price point and talk to a knowledgeable bartender or bar owner about like what's their favorite new beer, or like what are they drinking these days. And if you get advocates at bars, it goes miles and miles for product. And we do have some accounts that have had taps for like 18 months straight, and some of them go to like 3 wide during the week and 1 on the weekend, just because it's higher velocity during the week. But we do have a pretty big draft plan in place for 2021 and are hoping to, we're just working on some things with food safety before we go big on it, where in non-alcoholic, the biggest challenge is you don't have the alcohol as a preservative. So there's all these food safety challenges and regulatory and FDA stuff. And so there is a lot more on the food safety front to think about. And you have to be really careful not to put a non-alcoholic keg on like a dirty tap line or something.
Right.
Why do you think, I mean, I'm guessing it's because your beer isn't available everywhere. I mean, why is e-commerce so big, you think, for you guys?
I think it's just ease of ordering. So it definitely starts when like beer is not available in an area,
right?
Or especially during COVID right now.
But 50% is huge. That's a big number.
Yeah. It's really our best marketing tool, because like if someone in a random town where we've never sold beer to before in the country orders a case and tells 3 friends about it, or shares a beer with 3 friends, it just like spreads out. And like we have beer landing in towns across the country where it was tough. We had these national expectations like right from when we opened our doors. And some of our releases, like when we release our Free Wave double IPA or our Oktoberfest, we like last year we would announce a sale of 100 or 200 cases of Freeway, and it would sell out in like 20, 30 seconds. And there would be people who were waiting for it to go live at 5 o'clock and sell out and not get it. And it was hugely painful not to be able to get people that beer. But it is tough with these national expectations, but it's a lot of fun too, because like you never used to be able to buy your local brewery's like hype beer, or like say us on the East Coast being so far from Portland most of the time, like you can't get a fresh beer release, and like we were kind of giving that opportunity where people on the West Coast could get our beer of any release within like 3 days of canning, which is incredible. So
yeah, without the mail restrictions,
yeah,
you guys have an advantage there as well with that.
Yeah, super expensive to ship though. It's cases of beer are super heavy and they get damaged, and so we've spent a lot of time iterating all that stuff.
Oh, I can only imagine. What do you got, Canoper?
I just got to say that your marketing has been fantastic. I've seen it all over on Facebook. I mean, I think that's how we came across you. I had mentioned it to Kaylor one day. Hey, we should look into these guys. We should check them out and see if we can get them on the show. And I think it just kind of went by because we were busy. And then one day he says, hey, what do you guys think about these guys? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try to contact them. And so we're just happy that you took the time to come on here with us today, because this is a segment that you hear very little about. I think I know of one brewery in the area that makes NA beer.
Oh, cool.
Other than that, that's the only one I've heard about, and they're just local. So you guys are doing a great job marketing. I mean, it's highly visible.
Honestly, all of us love marketing just because like we've marketed authentically to our lifestyles, and like the ideas just like flow from all teammates, and the challenge is really funneling ideas, not just like, it's a pretty dangerous culture. Like that coast to coast bike ride I mentioned a little while ago was like a total joke when it first got mentioned, but then someone said, well, I said, you should do that. Like, let's schedule a call and like make a committee. And like, before we knew it, we had like a date and we were off. So,
and so that was
marketing super fun.
So that was
Did
a
you
bike
agree to
ride
that
from.
because you would go from LA to San Diego versus Connecticut to San Diego?
I did do the LA to San Diego leg also, which was a beautiful coastal ride.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we went from Connecticut all the way across the country. I did a couple legs in Colorado as well, which was gorgeous too.
It's cool.
Um,
Cool.
Sorry to cut you off there, Kaylor.
No, that's okay. I wanted to make the point that it was from your brewery in Connecticut to your brewery in San Diego.
yep. Yeah, we rode a tap handle across the country, and when we
Oh.
pulled into the parking lot, we put it on tap and poured beers from it.
Oh, that's awesome. And it was 10 different riders were exchanging.
Yeah, 10 each did about 300 miles each. So it was pretty crazy. Yeah, there was everything from the fires in Colorado were really bad. It was the record temperature in Death Valley was within a couple days of when we went through. That was like 130 degrees. And then the actual day when we pulled into the finishing parking lot, it was 106 degrees. So
Ooh.
a little toasty up there in Miramar,
Wow.
but it was cool.
Man.
Well, I mean, in all truthfulness, I mean, we're kind of beer snobs. I mean, I know I'm a beer snob, and I think that can be very off-putting to people who aren't beer snobs, to people who don't drink beer, or people who can't drink beer for whatever reason. And it's clear that your product, your beer, serves a very important market, and I think it helps. It helps make craft beer accessible to those who it can't be. Regular alcoholic craft beer can't be. So I applaud you and what you guys are doing. The beer is fantastic. Really appreciate you spending the time with us and coming on. We're going to leave it there for now, but before we go, Ben, it's time.
Bill, it's time for the final question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You are on Mount Baker, skiing, lovely day. You just got up and you're going to do another run, and your phone rings. You answer it, and it's somebody who wants your beer overseas. Who is calling you?
That brain never stops working, does it, Ben?
Yeah. We send a ton of beer to the military overseas, and I do all our social media, and my cell phone was like the company line for so long. So like wherever I was, it was like, hi, you've reached Athletic Brewing Tap Room, even though I'm like 1,000 miles away. But yeah, we do get a ton of emails and calls from the military overseas everywhere. And we just basically send the beer for free. We're like, yeah, we'll take down your details and invoice you, and we just send it. And we, a couple years ago, we sent about 10 kegs to Korea for New Year's Eve for the military also, which is pretty cool.
Whoa.
They're like, any chance of like getting some beer over here? We'll give you an address, like best you can do. And we were like, let's just send them a bunch of kegs. So it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe then. A lot of people in UK. We have some awesome ambassadors in UK too. So
anybody you want to send beer to? Anybody you would love to hear from?
I mean, definitely so many people. But no, I mean, I honestly just love sending beer to everyone. It like John is definitely like the beer snob with like the super refined palate of our team. And I'm like the guy who I just love good beer and good food, and like everything beer stands for as like community and social and like friends and family. So I love sending beer to everyone.
Awesome.
Well, you still have my address, so
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I only got 2 left, Bill.
I'll get you guys to the Oktoberfest too. We canned a bunch today, so that's super easy. But honestly, thank you guys too so much for like just letting us share our story, and we're so psyched to be selling beer in the Pacific Northwest. It's like perfect, like healthy, active outdoors, but like foodies and beer community, and so many great things, and that actually definitely has a special place in my heart because that's where I got out of that big funk too. So, and,
Awesome.
yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you.
If people want to find out more about Athletic Brewing, where's the best place for people to go?
Just at Athletic Brewing on Instagram, or athleticbrewing.com is our website too, which is super easy to order with free shipping. So
Yeah, it's great, and you guys have a podcast there with some really fun content. You guys doing a great job with that, and everything about your story, everything about the impact you guys are trying to make. Yeah, go check these guys out. It's legit, and there's a lot of places now that you can get their beer locally here in Portland Metro, and specifically in Vancouver. So it was not hard for me to find it. So that's a really good sign. So go out, check it out, do yourself a favor.
Sure. Canope,
thank you guys so much.
if people want to find business over beer, where do they go?
They go to Ben's Bottle Shop. Oh, I mean, they go to bizoverbeer.com, bizoverbeer.com. Social media handles there, contact information's there, our podcast is there, videos there, blogs there, everything you want to know about Jonathan Kaler and his man bun is there.
I haven't written my blog post about my man bun yet. In the process of doing my hair, you've requested that. I haven't gotten it in there yet, but I'll start working on a draft of that. That'll be on the blog coming soon.
Yeah, man bun blog coming soon. Cool. That's where you can find us.
Awesome. Hey, Bill, it says on here that it says right here, I'm easygoing. You can ask me anything. And you are really easygoing, and I appreciate you so much for coming on today. It was awesome.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. Look forward to having a pint sometime while I'm out there.
Definitely.
Hey,
We're
anytime.
ready.
If you're out this way, please look us up.
I definitely will. I'll have to trust your local knowledge. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. See y'all.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Business Over Beer reminds you to always drink responsibly. Our theme song is Idiocracy by Christian Leo. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Business Over Beer, a TH3 Entertainment production.